almost a texture of country ham. And if you like country ham, you'll like this even better because it has that really deep, rich smokiness that country ham has, but it also has that wonderful sweet note and smoky notes of that apple chipotle. Hey, Mark Lambert here with Sweet Swine of Mine Distributing. We want to show you something a little different today. We want to show you how to cure your own ham. Now, we're not really going to do a ham per se. We're going to do a pork butt, and many times they call this carriage ham or buckboard bacon because it's a little thinner because you butterfly it. So fresh hams aren't as easy to come by around these parts. Pork butts and shoulders are. What we actually have today is we've got a Compart pork butt. This is a competition butt from Compart, and we're going to show you how to butterfly it, and then we're going to show you what we use to put on it to cure it. The curing step is a multi-step process. It involves a dry cure, it involves a wet cure or a soak, then it involves a freshwater soak, it involves a hanging time, and then a little bit of smoking time. But it's well worth it. Follow me, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, we got a whole pork butt here, and it is fat capped down. And what I'm looking for right there is that blade bone. You see the flat edge of that blade bone? The other edge of it's right here. Money muscle's here. So the opposite end of where you see the blade bone, the flat edge of the blade bone is what we're looking for. So that is our beginning spot where we're going to butterfly this butt. We're going to start here on the thick edge of the blade bone here. And I'm just going to run my knife down to where it hits that flat edge of the blade bone. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to come across the top of the blade bone where it connects to the arm bone right here. And what we're going for here, y'all, is just a butterfly. And butterfly just means you're cutting the thickness of a piece of meat in half. You're just dividing it in half. We're not going to completely cut it in two pieces. We're just going to divide its thickness. So what I've done is I've come in here like this, and I'm going to cut toward. I'm cutting toward the money muscle, away from the arm bone joint. And as I'm cutting toward it, I'm just making this much more of an even thickness piece of meat. So as you can see, it's opening up, and I'm going to keep slicing it until it lays flat. And I'm slicing right now toward the money muscle. And when it lays flat, I'm going to about be where I need to be. So it's going to have more of the thickness of bacon than it is of ham. So right now I have this flat edge here of where this blade bone is, okay? So once I get to the edge of it, all I do is roll my knife around the edge of that blade bone. You follow the flat side on the other, just for a little bit, and it's got a ridge in it. So you're going to have to work your way around the little ridge of that blade bone. And if you want, you can come back around this side. You can follow that bone all the way around. Work your knife up under. And this Gunter Wilhelm boning knife is perfect for this. It's nice and stiff, and it's easy to maneuver around these bones. And so I'm following this bone, staying tight. I'm going to come up here actually, leave it meat on, and I'm just going to cut my way down to the ridge on this side. And as you can see here, there's that ridge right in there. So I'm going to work my way around. I'm going to try not to cut through this, but I'm going to work to the top of that ridge on that sort of a Y bone on that blade. Work my way around it. Just take your time and let your knife do the work and just follow the bone. You can see it's opened up. Now, if you can buy boneless butts already, hey, by all means, buy boneless butts. This is just what we happen to have from our sponsor, Compart Family Farms. Makes the best ham, or buckboard bacon, carriage ham, whatever you want to call it. And there's our blade bone. So you can see that little ridge. And so when we started, you're going to come in and hit this, and then we went around the bone and came back on the other side and went over to pull that bone out. Now don't throw that away. Put that in some water with some onions and celery and carrots. Boil that down, make you a good pork stock. You can make you a really good gravy with that. So what we have left here is a boneless pork butt that is all pretty darn even in thickness all the way around. Make sure you don't have any little pieces occasionally where this is cut off of the there's a tiny piece of gland where it's cut off. from the shoulder. Make sure you don't have any fragments of neck bone where they cut the neck bones off of the shoulder, which would be right along in here. So just run your hand across and make sure that there's none of that on there. Make sure none of those glands are left on there. And the glands will just be a little fatty mass, just kind of gray looking, and it'll usually be nestled around a little fat pocket. We'll make sure none of that's in there. And if it was in there, it'd probably be right along in there. And there's a tiny piece of it left. Most of it was cut out. Tiny piece. Double check over here. And this guy's ready for the cure, y'all. So make sure that this is laying nice and flat. And what we've got here, we'll slide this out of the way, is that we've got us a pan that has some brown sugar ham cure. This ham cure we sell at Sweet Swine of Mine Distributing is from Brussel Processors. We order it out of their Kansas City warehouse. I don't know the exact concentration of it, but we sell a brown sugar and a maple ham cure on our site. You can get it from Brussel Processors as well, if you have an account with them. So at this point, y'all, what we're going to do is we are going to put this in here, and we're going to put our first coat. I'm going to take this glove off, keep my bottle nice and clean, and we're going to come in with some Sweet Swine of Mine apple chipotle, and we're going to put a little first coat to start our flavor process on this Carriage ham buckboard bacon that we're making. I'm going to give it a quick flip, and I want all of our contact, all of our meat to have contact with this apple chipotle rub. This is our flavor base for this barbecue ham. This stuff is great. We made one of these the other day, and I just hated when the last piece was gone, so made sure that we got some more pork butts in right away and get us another one working. This process takes a few days, is we're going to make sure we get this cure all over this pork butt, y'all. We're going to make sure it's rubbed on really heavy, and we're going to let it dry cure in a 2.5 gallon Ziploc bag, and we're going to let it sit in there for about 4 days. After the 4th day, we're going to fill it with water, and we're going to make sure that we get nice even dispersion of all of our curing solution all throughout the meat. So what it's going to do at that point, it'll dissolve all of this ham cure that's left in the water, and then through osmosis it'll carry all of that cure through every particle and cell in the meat. And then once that's done and it's all cured out, it's going to be a really salty solution, so we will drain that off and we'll cover it with fresh water for a day, and then the next day we'll cover it with fresh water for about 4 hours while it's resting before it goes into hang, and it'll hang overnight. And what it does is it forms a pedicle or a sticky surface outside coating to the meat, to where you can really get a good attachment of smoked flavor to the outside of the meat. So we're going to flip this guy, making sure that we get all of our cure out from under here. And we're going to rub this in. I'm going to get good adhesion of all of this dry. Now, I'm no curing expert, guys, but I've done this, and I know how good it is. I know what works. So this dry cure, and then the wet cure, and then the soak and the hang. The smoking process is real slow. We're about 170 degrees, 165 degrees, and that's going to take a good 6 or 7 hours. And we're going to put it into the refrigerator. This refrigerator we have is a commercial fridge, and it's holding around 34 degrees. Now, really, you know what I'm going to do, y'all? I don't think I'm going to waste a 2.5 gallon Ziploc. I think I'm just going to keep it in this pan. I think I'm just going to put a lid on it, and we'll go in here and turn it and re-rub it first day or two to make sure that we're getting all that goodie in it. And then what I can do at that point, if you want to use the pan over again, I'm sure you can just add water to this pan and cover it. But if you've got a bag, all you have is a bag, you can do the cure process in the bag rather than a pan. I use this pan just for cleanliness sake, to minimize all of the getting this rub and cure everywhere. So that right there is going to work, y'all. This is going to go in the fridge 4 days, and then we'll start the second step of the process. All right, this has been in the refrigerator, as you can see, since 8/26. We put it in with a heavy coat of sweet Swine apple chipotle, and then a heavy coat of Bunzel processor brown sugar ham cure. Probably would have done it a little sooner, but we were out of town and couldn't get to it. But as soon as we got back in town, it's time for step 2, and this is all you got to do. So when you take the cover off of it, we flipped it over is all I did so far. Did that a little premature, but that's all I did was flip it over. I started adding 1 bottle of water. So this is bottle of water number 2. And you can do this in a 2.5 gallon Ziploc and get results that work out fine. If you don't have room for this pan, we've got a big refrigerator, so we've got room for this pan. Not a big deal. So looks like we're going 4 bottles of water over this. Now what this is going to do, guys, is this is going to take all of that cure that we put on the outside of this. A lot of that has soaked in, but what it's going to do now, it's going to distribute that cure throughout the ham very evenly. And it's going to kind of water it down just a little bit, and it's going to allow all of that cure to distribute evenly. We're going to leave it in here overnight tonight. We'll pick it out tomorrow. We'll flip it over. Then we'll take it, let it stay overnight again, and then we'll pull it out and we'll put it in a freshwater brine. I'm sorry, we'll pull it out, then we'll put it in fresh water, and the fresh water will leach out some of that excessive amount of salt. So, as you can tell, the rain just started. Good thing we're almost done. All right, I'm not sure if I was real clear when I added the water to this ham last time, how long it had been. 8/26 is when it went in, the dry cure. 9/2 is when we added water the first time. We gave it a flip and added the water. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here and show you what it looks like. As you can see, it's lightened up a little bit. And what we're looking for is just a flip at this point is all we're doing. So I'm going to reach in here and we're going to give it a flip, and that's just to make sure we get good even distribution all the way through. So we're going to let this sit another 24 hours. After that, we're going to go in, we're going to drain this water off that has a high concentration of salt, sugar, and cure. And then we're going to add fresh water. We're going to let that soak 24 hours. We're going to add fresh water, and then at the end of the day, that day, we're going to drain it off and we're going to hang it. We're just going to put some hooks in the side here. We're going to put a pan under it in the refrigerator, and we're going to let it hang 1 to 2 days, depending on how long it takes to form a pedicle, or we're looking for a little tacky coating on the outside. Okay, this has been soaking now for a long time. So we did a dry rub for a few days, and then we added water and let it soak. We flipped it and we let it soak, and this has been sitting for a lot longer than what I would normally plan, but hey, that's the beauty of cured meat. You've got a little bit of buffer time. If it doesn't suit your schedule, let it go an extra day or 2. Get to it when you can. That's how the last one did, and it was awesome. So you can see what it looks like. The meat's really gotten kind of pale. There's a huge contrast between the color of the meat and the color of the fat right now. So what we're going to do now is we have drained off all of the water that we have put in. After the dry cure, we added the water, and that just created that osmosis effect to carry that cure throughout the meat very evenly. So what we're going to do now, because there's a high concentration of salt and sugar in this piece of meat, we've got our curing process done. We're going to now leach back out some of that salt and sugar. So what we've got is we've just got us some cold bottled water, and what we're going to do is we're going to pour this over one at a time until we get nice coverage. I want it to just barely cover this pork butt. And it looks like it's going to take 3, maybe 4. So here's the process, y'all. This is going to sit, we're going to go ahead and put one more. This is going to sit overnight, up to 24 hours, and what's going to happen is it's going to draw that salt and sugar out into the water, back out into the water. It went into the meat, now it's going to slowly pull it back out into the water so that it's not as salty. That's what we're looking for. We want a nice mellow salt ham flavor. If we cooked it right now, it would be so salty you wouldn't want to eat it. It'd be like country ham after we hung it. So we're going for more of a country flavored city ham at this point. So this is gonna sit 24 hours or so. We're gonna pour the water off. Then we're gonna pour on another set of fresh water for about 12-hour period. Then it's going to the hang. We're gonna form that tacky pedicle over the outside so that it absorbs all the smoke and that wonderful apple chipotle rub we're gonna put on it. Okay, we got our ham ready to go in the smoker, or bacon, whatever you want to call it. Buckboard bacon, carriage ham, there's tons of different words for it, but it is a ready to go butterfly Boston butt. You can kind of see it's got this tacky coating on it, and what that's going to do is that's going to make the surface really acceptable to smoke. We're not going to do anything crazy now other than apply a layer of rub. And we're going to follow our theme that we were using for our buckboard bacon or carriage ham. We're going to go in with the Sweet Swine of Mine apple chipotle. It's been hanging for about 4 days, and all we're going to do now is just take our apple chipotle barbecue rub, and we're going to make a nice coat of apple chipotle on the outside. And it's going to go directly on the smoker, and we're going to put it in the Green Mountain Daniel Boone at 150 degrees. We're gonna let it stay in there for a while and see how our color and our temperature works along. We may bump it to 160, 165, but we're gonna try to let it sit in that 150, 155 range as long as we can to get lots and lots of smoke. That Daniel Boone throws off a ton of smoke in that startup range. When you push the startup button, it goes right to that 150, 155. And really that's all we need to do. Last time we did this, it turned out awesome, and I just want some more of it. We're here at the Green Mountain Grill. This is the Daniel Boone Prime Plus Wi-Fi. And you can tell it's smoking really good. It's still in the startup mode. We're going to leave it there. And right now it's sitting at 152 degrees, and it'll cycle 155 to 149 back and forth a little bit. But this is what we're looking for. This is the smoke that we're looking for, and the temperature we're looking for. So we're going to open it up, and we're going to put this guy, we're going to start off, I think, just start off with what was the fat cap. We'll start down, lay this on there, and we're going to take our meat probe, go with probe number 1, and we'll take it, I kind of ran it through here to keep it off the ground. Make sure they're nice and straight so you don't kink them. We're going to take our meat probe and find a good thick portion to make sure, oh, this is good as any, right in there, to monitor this temperature kind of right in the middle. And that's all we're going to have to do, y'all. We'll follow it along and give you a little progress shot a little bit later, and looking forward to some wonderful smells in the warehouse today. Okay, so the last one of these we had done on the Old Hickory CTO, and we're going to see, this one's going to take quite a bit longer. I think the last one took around 6.5, 7 hours. We're right about almost 8 hours right now, and we're at 120 degrees food temp. We just changed the grill temp a little bit, opened it, and it spiked a little bit. It's up to 209. Set it back to 160. Just gonna let it go, and I'm gonna go home and leave it here at the shop and set me an alarm. And when it hits my target temp, it should go off, and I'll just turn it off and let it rest the rest of the night. It should be just fine. It's gonna be in the high 50s tonight, so cured and smoked ham, it'll be just fine. So show you guys what it looks like. It's 120 degrees internal temperature. It's still a little bit soft, you can tell. It's a little more firm over here in this blade muscle. A little softer over here. A little more firm in the money muscle. Over here in this fatty area, it's still kind of soft. So, give you an idea of what it should look like. The bottom side, the fat side, you can see it's getting really nice color to it. It's got some nice heat on that side. It's radiant heat's from the bottom on this, so no big deal. That's a great thing about having Wi-Fi control, is we can monitor and increase or decrease this thing from the house. So we're gonna let it oh, there's the wife calling. Hey, honey. Okay, we've got everything ready. Hey, this came out as good as it did the first time. The color is incredible from that Sweet Swine of Mine apple chipotle rub. And I've sliced a couple of pieces of this here, not all the way through though. Let me finish that. As you can tell, that is some beautiful buckboard bacon, carriage ham, whatever you want to call it. Now, I'll be honest with you here. This is the first time I cooked it on the pellet grill. Last time we did it on the old hickory. It took about 8 hours to get to only 130 degrees. But we kept it down in that 155 degree range for the most part. We have one or two little spikes in there for something when we left the lid open too long. But look at that. That is some beautiful, look at that. That is some beautiful buckboard bacon, carriage ham, whatever you want to call it. Now, because we only went to 130, it's really, I'm going to say it's not ready to eat. At this point, this is bacon. It requires additional cooking. You do need to fry this off. If you want it ready to eat, take it up to that 150 degree range. 145 is sufficient. But this has got that texture of, almost a texture of country ham. And if you like country ham, you'll like this even better because it has that really deep, rich smokiness that country ham has, but it also has that wonderful sweet note and smoky notes of that apple chipotle. So if you like this, subscribe to our channel. If you haven't ever tried buckboard bacon or carriage ham, I strongly suggest you give it a try. These make the best sandwiches with a fried green tomato or a ripe tomato and lettuce and a little mayo on some really good sourdough or some rye bread. You guys are going to love it. Thank you for watching and hope you enjoy this recipe and many more to come. God bless you.